Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is chamomile lavender tea in an Agatha mug. Edward Gorey. Uh, I just assume it's Agatha Christie. I'm not sure if it is. I think it's appropriate when you're talking about Agatha Christie and other mystery writers because that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about March Mystery Madness 2025 and my reading plans for such a month. This is, I think, my sixth one. I started in March of 2020, and I did a TBR in February of 2020. All excited because I figured at least some of them I'd be bringing with me to my trip to London later in March. And guess what? Yeah, it didn't happen. I went later on, but totally different books planned for that month that I went later on. Anyway, but you know, the theme for March Mystery Madness 2025. All the hosts, I'll try to link them down below. There's a good number of them because it's their 10th, I believe, or a decade, I guess, since the first March Mystery Madness. That's the theme, decade. So there's a bunch of different prompts related to decade, not too many, but just a couple of them. And I thought I would just find books that all either took place or were published in different decades. So I have 4 books, 4 different decades, and that's about it. The one theme I did notice, it was not intentional. All of these books take place, at least at some point in the book, in London, England, and that is mainly because that's one of the things I like to read about the most. So that's what happens. 2 of these books are library books. I'm personally trying to read fewer library for the public library books, not because it's bad to do so. It's very much encouraged by me, but because I'm trying to read more books that I own. But balance. What can you do? This book is a book that I had put on hold months ago, and finally it was available. Surprisingly, the physical book was available before the ebook, so that's good because I prefer physical books. And this book is The Incident of the Book in the Nighttime, a Sherlock Holmes Bookshop mystery by Vicky Delaney. This is, I don't know the number, but I think it's the 10th. Maybe it is the 10th. Maybe it's the 9th. I can't remember. I think last year was the 9th. Because I think it was. Anyway, shall I do the counting? Yes, I will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's the 10th one. Don't you love, this is what you tune in for, right? Because, you could have watched Sesame Street, but you had to watch me counting. Ha 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 ha. I'm not doing the count. I'm not doing a Sesame Street character. No one needs to hear that. But anyway, I didn't even do it well. So anyway, there's a cat in the front. There's a cat. But anyway, this is a series that is about a woman who helps, she co-runs and co-owns a Sherlock Holmes themed bookshop in Connecticut, Massachusetts. Sorry about that. Cape Cod. I had the C in there. Cape Cod, which actually makes this more appropriate because Edward Gorey lived in Cape Cod for a long time. Anyway, she's from England, but she and her great uncle own this place, and her great uncle never appears. I'm waiting for him to show up. I hate that trope of that mysterious person who texts and calls, but you never actually see him. Not for me, but I could put up with it otherwise. And she has a last name Doyle, like the author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of the Sherlock Holmes books, the original ones, and she ends up solving mysteries, and she has a lot in common with Sherlock Holmes. So it's fun. This one is supposed to be taking place in London. They go to London, someone gets killed, because that's what happens in mystery novels. But I'm looking forward to it. As I always do. Hopefully it'll be good. The past couple ones, some of them were really good and some were questionable. So hopefully this one will not be a disappointment. And the next one, like I said, I was going to mention Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie, one of the most famous names ever. Can't say it, but that's because the name of this book is Hickory Dickory Dock. Yep, there's the mice that run up the clock, right? So I wanted to say Christie, but I saw Hickory, so I said Christie. Anyway, why? So I have seen the David Suchet TV series that there's one episode, and it was really interesting. It was fun. I mean, David Suchet sells it all the time, and his assistant, Miss Lemon, is very much prevalent in that one, as is Inspector Japp, which I'm not sure he'll be in this one. I will find out, but I know this is a very Miss Lemon centric book, and she's not in a lot of these stories, except for in the TV series, because I guess they like her character. So it'll be nice to see her here, because I haven't really run across her that much reading Poirot. Anyway, I believe it takes place with student lodgings. There's thefts, there's murder. I believe there's some sort of politics involved, and I'm not sure. Almost 100% sure it takes place in London, in case I'm mistaken. Oh well. So I want to see how different it is from the TV show adaptation. I heard there are some differences. One of the big ones is that it was written in the 1950s and was, I believe, supposed to take place in the 1950s, but the show tended to keep most of their episodes centered somehow time locked in 1936. So it'll be different, a different decade. So so this is 1950s. The incident of the book, since it's a new release, obviously this decade, the 2020s. So yeah. And so the reason I got this out of the library instead of reading some of the other Agatha Christie's I have at home is because I had a dental appointment. I've had a lot of dental appointments recently. Don't really want to talk about it, but I had a little time to kill before before the appointment, so I stopped in the library to have a browse. And I don't know, I just really wanted to read it. So I said, why not? And I did. Well, I didn't read it, but I checked it out. And so those are my two library books for March Mystery Madness. Here are the two books that I have purchased at some point. One of which I remember purchasing, and the other one, I'm not really sure what I remember with this one. But this one I bought in Chicago. Do you know who was originally from Chicago? Edward Gorey. Oh wait, tea. Lovely. Anyway, so okay, are we gonna keep talking about Edward Gorey? Let's not. He did also live in New York at one point, but I don't think I have anything New York here, except me. So anyway, so the next book I got in half price books when I was visiting my sister, and I like half price books. It's not, I wouldn't call it my favorite bookshop ever, but because I used to go there also when my sister was living in Texas, it gives me some little bit of enjoyable bookish nostalgia. I take the nostalgia where I can get it. But of course, this book is a London-based book, and it is Christopher Fowler's 10-Second Staircase. So I bought this, I believe, my last Chicago trip. I'm very much sure that I did. And I wasn't so sure about this actual copy because I usually get a different version of it. The other paperbacks that are made are kind of a different theme. So I thought, oh, this is different. But then I said, oh, you know what, whatever I spent on it, I remember it wasn't such a bad price. And it is the Christopher Fowler that I haven't read, to my knowledge. This and one other one, I believe, of the Peculiar Crimes Unit. It's always hard to say that. It's also the Bryant and May. This and the Sherlock Holmes Bookshop series are the two more modern series that I've kept up with over the years. Sadly, Christopher Fowler died about 2 years ago, and so there will be no more. I don't know if he was actually planning to continue writing more in the series anyway, because he sort of wound it up pretty well at the end. But it's really sad. Anyway, but there are a good amount of them, so I can always reread if I want. I probably forget what happened anyway, so. But what I like about this series, it is very, very London-centric. There are one or two that don't take place in London or take place outside of London for the most part. But London tends to be almost like a main character. The two main detectives are elderly, very elderly, Arthur Bryant and John May. And the very, very main character is Arthur Bryant. He's extremely eccentric, and his interests are very esoteric and very all over the place. He is comes from a working class London background. He looks disheveled all the time. He's a little bit of a Luddite, but he's brilliant. And the Peculiar Crimes Unit is one that the city and different other officials are always trying to bring down, but they keep going because there are just certain types of things that happen, certain crimes, certain missing people, murders, etc., that are hard to explain. So usually Arthur Bryant, I'm just gonna call him Bryant, tends to start up with all kinds of folklore and mythology, going to see all kinds of experts at museums and stuff, and talking about different types of London history, which I love. Takes all this kind of stuff, sounds like it's all over the place, and then pulls it together to help him figure out who done it. And it usually is a simpler explanation than how it started, but it always seems to work out. There's been a couple of sad ones, but we'll see how this one is. I'm not going to even read the back in case it says more than I need to know. Excuse me. I just see something about highwaymen, which was a thing many centuries ago. So that could be interesting. This was published. I looked at it before, but I want to make sure that, because I think this was one of the earlier ones. And I think it said, I can't turn pages. And I'm not going to lick my finger on camera. Sorry. 2006. So yeah, this is one of the earlier ones. So this is the first decade of the new millennium. Not as new as it used to be, but still relatively new. So that's a different decade. And does that look like, sorry, I'm zooming in. It almost looks like Sherlock Holmes here, but I doubt it. So anyway, I'm excited about it because, like I said, I've been missing that series a lot. I've been thinking about reading them. It seems a bit silly right now, but you never know. I started reading them approximately 2012, 2014. I can't remember the exact year, somewhere in there. And I was just hooked from the beginning. Some of them are not as good as the other ones, but anyway. So I thought that would be appropriate to read this now. And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but some of these books are quite totable. So as the weather gets a little bit better, I hope, I don't like to talk too much about my health things because that gets boring after a while, I know. But I have a lot of struggles with the cold weather. I'm not looking for advice right now, please, unless you have an actual cure. Yeah, so it is harder and harder for me to enjoy the winter time. I used to like it a little bit more, but from I think mid-December until probably the middle of March, I struggle quite a lot to enjoy any outdoor activities. So it's a little sad. Of course, I have a lot of books to read, so that's okay. But the one thing I do like is that when it gets a little warmer, I can spend more time outside beyond just my commutes that I have to do. So maybe I will be able to get out and about a little more in March, and maybe I can pack this in my bag and it won't weigh a lot. I don't know. That was a way I was trying to make it sound very positive, but I ended up sounding a little Debbie Downer. But you know what? I don't know. Reading is a happy thing, isn't it? Even reading about people getting killed, because for some reason cozy mysteries are cozy no matter how terrible the actual crime is, right? Anyway, so on to something else. So we got 3 different decades already represented here. Last but not least is one of the Poisoned Pen Press. That's almost as hard for me to say as British Library crime classics. They are one and the same. Poison Press is the group that brings this series to America, the United States. I don't know if it's all of America. So anyway, let's not do geography right now, but definitely to the United States. And the only thing I don't like about them is that their Their version is slightly taller than the ones that come from the UK, so you can't keep them together. If you want to have a neat series, and if you have some in the middle or whatever, it why don't they plan these things? But that's okay, because it was nice to find this one anyway, and it's got some kind of schmutz on the front of it, some sticky stuff. I don't know why, and I don't know where I got this from. Wait, no, there's no indication. Maybe I got it at Book Off, but I don't remember all the time where I got each one. But anyway, this one, in case you're forgetting that I'm talking about London, Murder by Matchlight by E.C.R. Lorac or Lorac. I'm not really sure. I've heard it said before, but I forgot. And actually, one of the reasons I picked this one is because I do like this author now. I read one of, I believe, her books last year. And yes, her books. I read about her too, and I forgot. But I read it during my trip to Chicago. And I'm just going to read this every time I mention a place related to Corey. Okay, but so already that gives me good memories. But yeah, I felt I enjoyed the writer's writing, and I said, well, I should read more. And then I realized, well, I have more. So here it is. And this one takes place during the, let's see, London 1945. So this is a different decade. So this is the 1940s, and this is the time period where London still was, I don't think the Blitz was still happening, but it does refer to blackouts and everything. So I don't know. All I know is that there is someone witnesses a crime, a murder, and it is by matchlight, like a lit match. They see something really quick, and then of course, lit match is really quickly out, so they don't know what they see, so the detective has to ascertain. But it's London, in case I haven't hammered it down that this is London, that all these books are taken place in, but that's okay, because it doesn't look like, much like 2020, doesn't look like I'm going to London this year, and there are worse things in life. But one of the happy things in life is that through books, I can always go to London, and also through YouTube, but also through books. So I'm pretty content with that at the moment. And I really don't think I'd want to have been in London in the 1940s. Anyway, I'd rather be reading about it. So, except for maybe the very late 40s, just to visit Marks & Co. from 84 Charing Cross Road. But I could have done so in the 1950s. Anyway, I really like this kind of purplish. Purple is not my top favorite color. It's purplish and dark, almost like a blue purplish, but then the side. My favorite color, in case you're wondering, is green. But I like all the colors, but this one is quite pretty, so, and also quite light, and really nice size of these books. I'm sorry if I'm showing you any spoilers, but I'm just doing this really quick, so that maybe you can see the print. This is probably the smallest print of them all, and it's not that bad, which also is a great thing, because there was a book that I was pulling out for my mysteries that I thought I was going to pick, but then the writing is a bit small and I just wasn't up to it. Yeah, but anyway, so that's my hopeful plans. I would like to read all 4 of them, but I have a lot of other books going, as you may know. I'm also reading one book for middle grade March, but I'll talk about that if I finish it, and there's a future wrap-up. If I read a lot of mysteries, the hat may come on. If you don't know what hat I'm talking about, it's the Sherlock Holmes hat. It is not in my reach right now, and I was gonna say that I was not gonna wear it today because I was having a good hair day, but at this point my hair isn't looking so wonderful. I desperately need a haircut. But anyway, as I did in March of 2020. But at least, well, anyway, I was going to say that time I didn't get a haircut until October. So let's hope that I get it a little more recently. We shall see. Anyway, enough about the little gloom and doom attitude. Let me know if you have any plans for March Mystery Madness. even if it's like one mystery, which is perfectly fine. And any other reading plans for March, let me know if you've read any of these books or these authors, and you have a lot of you I know have read Agatha Christie, but if you have a special fondness for any of them, please let me know. If you enjoy talking about mystery novels, if you enjoy listening to someone ramble on about London and tea and cats and green and I don't know, Freddie Mercury and Freddie Percury and Jane Austen and Anthony Trollope. What else? I don't know. There's a lot of other things I like to talk about. History, British history, and sometimes other history. If you like to talk about things that aren't as stressful as some other things that I could be talking about, please subscribe. You're always welcome. And that is all for now. This is Catherine at Taking Tea with Catherine. Raising the cup again. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day. Bye.